So my point is that if he stood up tall and put the football on his helmet and then just fell forward, that he would gain more yards by doing that than he's actually doing by running the ball, because 2 yards is again 6 feet. So it'd be like 6 feet and however big a football is. Like six, it'd be like six, it'd be like 2 yards and 3 inches if he just fell down. So far, by the way, he's only got 60% of the running back carries so far.
How's a football 3 inches long?
Whatever. No, I mean, just like if you're holding it like this, how tall do you think it is?
Yeah.
Like, if I'm just saying, if you've got it on a helmet, what?
We'll call it 2.5 yards.
3, 6, like,
I don't think he's going to take our advice.
Football's like that size. What is it, 6 inches? I don't know. Like, what? I don't know. Whatever. I'm making a joke, like you're going to kill me on inches?
Literally
like, whatever.
11 inches.
Is it 11 inches?
Yeah, so you're way off.
Okay, whatever. Way off. I'm not an NFL player.
3 inches is like that.
I was just like, whatever. I don't know.
Fantasy Football Happy Hour with Matthew Berry, served by Applebee's.
Happy Friday! Welcome to the Fantasy Football Happy Hour. Connor Rogers, Matthew Berry, Jay Croucher. It's been a tough 24 for Matthew. He's been abused.
I just want to say that I have the exact same opinion as the audience, which is like, wait, you guys are still on the air? You guys haven't been yanked off the air? I'm as surprised as you. I sat by the phone all day, like, when's HR calling? When they let me know? But I don't know.
Matthew, you were right. A football is 3 inches.
Thank you very much.
That's a 3-inch
See?
football.
You're damn right.
Just like this.
That's what Aaron Rodgers was slinging last night.
This is what I was saying. So that's fine. Like, what is that geometry? What is that, like measurements? I guess what would it be like that? Your
measurements are within the greater field of geometry.
Yeah.
Measurements 101.
Whatever.
Like football's in the field of sports.
I've always been very, very loose with measurements. Just no one tell my wife. All right, come on. Here we go.
You want to know how the day started?
What's that?
The day started that I'm walking out of our back makeup room. Matthew is walking by me. But then he stops by our wardrobe department. Stephanie, who works in our wardrobe department, does a great job.
Yes.
Matthew goes, "What do you think?" And she goes something along the lines of, "Did you dress yourself?"
Yeah, it's awful. It's soul crushing to my self-confidence.
Not like an instant. Oh, great. Go on. Like, did you something along the lines like, did you
because
dress
6-year-old boy?
No, listen. God bless NBC.
Chicken nuggets and his self-dressing.
Listen, God bless NBC and NBC Universal and Comcast. God bless them all here, because they know that left to my own devices, I'm a disaster. So they have graciously provided wardrobe for me. So I don't want to I think this is cool. I think I look good.
You do. It's great.
But this is this outfit.
It's a little short.
Yeah, it's not short.
It's European cut, Jay.
Yeah,
what is short?
Milano Berry strikes again.
I've lost a little bit of weight. I think I look good. YouTube commenters are like, where's... Anyway, screw you guys. I think I look good. Anyway, and so this is the outfit that was in my wardrobe today. And so I walked in, and so I put it on. And so I went by Stephanie, where Stephanie sits, and I'm just like, letting her see, how it looks and everything look okay. And yes, her reaction was, "Wait, did you dress yourself?" And I'm like, "Oh, sorry, Steven." But yeah, I mean, that was my reaction.
Yeah. But then everybody clarified he looked good. He wore what he was supposed to.
Yeah, Stephanie backtracked, started whatever. Yeah, backpedaling quite a bit.
Making beeping noises.
Yeah, a lot of beeping noises. But whatever, I think I look good. Now, in fairness, what do I know? But I think it's a good outfit.
Yeah.
It's not one that I picked up myself.
It's also my outfit.
I was just going to say, look at Jay.
I picked this myself.
Did you?
We're wearing the exact same thing.
I thought they started giving you wardrobe too recently.
They did, and then you spent 10 minutes of the show the one time I took the shirt that they put in there for me, and you eviscerated me, and by osmosis you eviscerated wardrobe.
Yes.
So now I'm playing it day by day.
If they start quietly dressing you two like
Mixon.
twins, I would really enjoy that.
So you get in there, you get into your dressing room, you see what they picked out for you, and you decide in the moment, is that an improvement or not as good as what I chose myself?
It's always an improvement. It's just whether I'm going to get eviscerated on the national streaming service by you. And that's the kind of the calculation.
Good bar to wait on.
All right, fine. Let's
buckle up, guys. So we got a loaded show. Denny Carter is going to join the show later, as he does on Friday. He will tell you what the mainstream media won't.
Yeah, contractually obligated Denny Carter.
Hopefully he stayed logged on. As always on Fridays, we got pickup lines for Matthew, which started off the season 2 for 2 last week.
Sir.
Let's keep it going. But first, a lot to get to from last night as we get into our Roto World player news. Of course, Thursday night football, Jets, Patriots, not much of a game here. Breece Hall, 16 carries, 54 yards. He gets the touchdown, 4 catches, 29 yards. Braelon Allen involved in the run game as well, 11 carries for 55 yards. We got to hear from Breece after the game on getting Braelon Allen so involved in this rushing attack.
Yeah, it was a tough, gritty game. We knew as far as running the ball, we were going to have to be physical and just out-tough them. They have a really good defense, really sound and fundamental defense. So we just knew that we would have to come out and be in our P's and Q's and just win the physical matchup. Me and Braelon feel like with us, we complement each other so well. So we always feel like with our O-line, we can run the ball on anybody. And, our O-line is getting better and better. So it's just been cool to see how we're progressing every week.
That was Breece Hall with New York Jets reporter Caroline Hendershot. As you see the splits here, Matthew, a lot of work for Braelon Allen in a game where the Jets handed the ball to their running backs 30 times. Between Breece and Braelon, 27. Isaiah Davis also had 3 carries in this
People
game.
are going to make a big deal of this, and I actually don't think they should to this extent. We talked about this previously. Listen, got to give you a lot of credit, Connor. You said in the preseason, Braelon Allen's going to be a thing. He's not just insurance back for Breece Hall. He's going to be a part of this offense. We saw it last week as well when he scored the 2 touchdowns, and your take was like, hey, that's going to earn him more time.
Yeah, short week.
Short week as well. So 3 things happened here. First off, short week, you don't want to pile on to Breece Hall. And Braelon Allen was certainly effective last week. Also, they were killing them. They were crushing them like a grape. They were slapping around like any kind of piece of fruit you want to talk about. And so they had the ball a ton. And so they were up 3 scores for much of the game. And so obviously you're doing that, especially on a short week and when you're having your way with them. And so we talked about this. I think Braelon Allen is flex-worthy in a 12-team or deeper league. But for people that might be panicking about Breece Hall, he got 20 carries. Like, if you tell me Breece Hall's getting 20 touches every single game, I'm fine. I don't care what you do with Braelon Allen.
Over 18 points.
I will sign up for 20 touches from Breece Hall in every game. Give me that. It doesn't matter what Braelon Allen's doing.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is a little bit overblown. I think at the same time, you can be a little bit concerned about the ultimate ceiling of Breece Hall, the fact that it's not so much the division of touches because that can get skewed in a blowout. It's more that, Braelon Allen was in there on the second drive. Last year, Elijah Mitchell's not coming in for Christian McCaffrey on the second drive, right? So there is perhaps a little bit of a cap ceiling. I would say that Breece Hall's median outcome is still fine. It's just I would be less high on his ability to be the number 1 overall player in fantasy. I'm not sure there's going to be a game this year where Breece Hall gets 30 carries, right? Because Braelon Allen's just too involved in the offense. As that reduces, Breece Hall got what did he get, 33, 37 carries in the last game they played against the Patriots in Week 18 last year. Those days might be done, but at the same time, perhaps he can make up for it with more efficiency because he's going to be fresher.
That's the point.
That's my devil's advocate, is that what if this keeps him healthy and more efficient throughout the game, where he's just consistently 16 to 24 points every single week, rather than most of the time you lose your running back for a game, 2 games, 4 games, 5. Isaiah Pacheco is already potentially down for a very long time. This might be the best for the long term of Breece. But you're right, Jay. Maybe it doesn't get you the 35-point Alvin Kamara weeks, but long term, this is a good plan.
But by the way, it could. I mean, again, it was a short week. The other thing is that last year he's getting 35, 37 touches because that's all they had.
Yeah.
Now they've got Aaron Rodgers. They've got wide receiver 1, Alan Lazard.
Yeah.
They've got this,
Lazard.
this young kid Garrett Wilson who's coming along. We'll see. Tyler Conklin, the next Gronk. Whatever. My point, all jokes aside, though, the offense is going to be in scoring position a lot more, a lot more sustained drives under Aaron Rodgers. And so the fact is they don't need to put that much of a workload on Breece Hall because their offense is more balanced and will be better this year. So I think it is overall a better situation for Breece Hall. And yes, maybe it's more of it's a higher floor than a higher ceiling, but he's still, assuming health, Breece Hall's going to finish as a top 5 fantasy running back this year. And that's what you're hoping for. I mean, when you draft a guy in the we always say when you draft a guy in the first round, you're not trying to win your league, you're trying not to lose it. And so what you want is just a small range of outcomes. This guy is going to be one of the elite guys at his position, and he will be.
Yep.
So that's great.
Would you trade Saquon Barkley for Breece Hall? Who would you rather have?
I don't even think it's close.
Yeah, I'd rather have Breece.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
I'd rather have Breece.
I just think he's the better player.
Yeah.
I agree. I think he's better at football.
Yeah.
But Saquon's getting every touch in that backfield almost.
Who do you think has a better chance to stay healthy?
Breece Hall, just because he's younger, even though he's got the ACL in his history.
Who do you think has the better chance to not get vultured at the goal line?
That's fair.
That's
Well, Aaron Rodgers likes to check into pass plays, though Breece did get the carry.
Who do you think has the better chance of catching a ball on third down with a game on the line?
Oh, yeah. Too soon for Eagles fans.
Or for me, because I lost to producer Damien and stupid Kirk Cousins.
Not an egregious question.
Yeah, I think it's close.
Right.
I don't think there's a wrong answer.
No, it's not an egregious question.
I'll
But by
take
the way,
Bijan over
if
both
we
of them
if we redrafted today, which by the way, you can redraft today on guillotineleagues.com. By the way, if you want to do a guillotine league, you can start that whenever you want. But if you redrafted today, your top 5 running backs in some order are Bijan, Breece, Saquon, Alvin Kamara.
Yes.
Right? And maybe Jordan Mason with maybe Jordan Mason and the idea that you're going to get McCaffrey in a couple rounds.
Yeah.
Like the San Francisco running back.
Yep. I think that's reasonable. I think Bijan is 1. I'd have him 1 almost by himself now, and then I'd have those next 3 in a tier.
I guess I don't know. That's a good debate, and we're totally derailing this. And by the way, you two commenters, it's not just me derailing it now. It's freaking Jay.
It's caught us like a bug.
Yeah, but I was gonna say is it's like, it's so weird because the anti-Bijan argument, Bijan versus Breece, was Algiers going to take some touches, and now here comes Braelon Allen. New Algier. Who better Algier?
Just bigger, stronger, maybe even faster.
Yeah.
Well, Bijan might pop up later in the show, Matthew.
All right.
Surprise for you.
All right, good. Can't wait.
Let's move over to the passing attack. Jay, it was just a couple days ago that you were on Aaron Rodgers MVP 22-1?
30-1, Connor.
30-1.
Yeah.
So much better than the Giants 80-1 to win the NFC East, Jay.
Yeah.
And boy, you're number one. How much do you think this market is going to move by the end of the weekend after that performance by Rodgers? Not because of the stats, but because of how physically impressive he was.
Yeah, well, the price is already, it's into 16-1 on DraftKings, and I think that's still even too big. Like, he looked to me like 2021 Aaron Rodgers. And just from a physical perspective, he sprinted last night more than he had in any game since 2018 by Next Gen Stats. And he didn't look as fast, he didn't look as quick, but he could move. He looked much more statuesque in those first 2 games. And to me, that's the key, is that if he's able to put up a game like that in his third game as a New York Jet, when Garrett Wilson, they haven't even found that connection yet. They're not fully clicking. As we can see the tweet from Nate Tice, Aaron Rodgers has sprinted to find us reaching greater than 12 miles per hour. Matthew Berry can't reach that speed. 136.21 yards. Tonight, the most he sprinted in a game since 2018 per Next Gen Stats.
I can't always reach that speed, but on Wednesdays when there's free popcorn at the calf.
Oh, you're up to 14.
Thank you very much.
14.5
exactly right.
miles per hour.
We should run those photos, because I took some photos of you while you were gobbling the popcorn.
You're damn right. Like, I completely own it. Like, it's the best thing.
Not only was it a good call by you for the early MVP odds, but Jay, you were also on Aaron Rodgers rushing a little bit more before the game. Take a listen from our best bets.
It's a good call by you.
Okay, my best bet, gentlemen. This is what betting's all about. This is what the forefathers really fought for. Taking Aaron Rodgers over 1.5 rushing yards at plus 100. You think Aaron Rodgers, the most kind of aware of everything going on around him, you think he isn't aware of everyone calling him a statue for the first 2 weeks of the season? Now he's on primetime, Island game, Rodgers. His last 10 games as a Packer, he went over this 7 out of 10. And so I think that Rodgers, like Kirk Cousins had 4 carries on Monday Night Football. Like, I think that he'll have a carry and he'll go over 1.5 rushing yards.
Nice job, Jay. Good call out.
Yeah.
Obviously, Rodgers just more mobile last night. The Patriots did not contain it all. They didn't respect the run from him, and he took advantage of it.
There you go. I think that's the second play of the game where your bet cashed. And at this point, the Jets were still, the Patriots were still within +6. So at that point, that second play, things look good for my bet, for your bet.
Greg the Leg hadn't shanked a chip shot yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Greg the Leg. Everything was perfect.
But you cashed that. The only thing I want to say about Rodgers, and I agree with you, I thought he looked awesome. Really an impressive performance. He now has 10 days to prepare for a home game against the Broncos. He looked great. I just think fantasy-wise, like, I don't think you're getting 18 rushing yards every single week. And again, because the defense is so good, he had 21 fantasy points. He was great, but I would still say Aaron Rodgers is still a mid-tier QB2. I still don't think he's a QB1 for fantasy because I just don't think you can count on the rushing. And I do think that, the passing touchdowns aren't, 281 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. Week 15 of 2021 was the last time he had more fantasy points than he did last night. I don't know that I'm going to see it consistently.
Yep, that's fair.
It's still going to be a ball control offense.
Yeah.
Yep, he's going to be very efficient though.
Yeah, of course
he's not
he
going to
always
hurt you with interceptions. He's not going to get sacked that much, even though he took the 2 last night. I'd be very excited if you're a Jets fan, Connor. Very, very excited.
Walking on eggshells at all times, but fun night for the Jets.
Yep.
And a fun night for Garrett Wilson getting in the end zone on what was a tame night. Rodgers really made an effort to get Garrett Wilson that touchdown after he came up short on the pass before. But still, it feels like this connection is not where they expect it to be. We got to hear from Rodgers after the game on him and Garrett Wilson just being slightly off.
The entire focus of all three defenses we played have been taking Garrett away. It's been Mel Kiper's worst nightmare. Been a lot of cover two, you know. And when there's times we get one high, we've tried to go to him, but a lot of too high in all three games. You know, they're shading to him, even with stud corners. You know, you look at the Ward in week 1, and Snead, thank you, in week 2, and then Gonzalez in week 3 now. Not a lot of singles. So that's a tribute to Garrett and his talent.
As you see, the receiving leaders from last night. Huge night for Tyler Conklin. Just always early on that one. Tyler Conklin came to life. 5 catches on 6 targets, 93 yards. Lazard, still a thing, Matthew. He gets the touchdown on the first touchdown of the game. Mike Williams showing some flashes. Really should have had a touchdown in this.
They gave him the big jump ball. He
jumped
hit him
early.
in the hands.
He jumped early.
Yeah.
He was falling down as the ball was coming down and just couldn't secure it. So Mike Williams, better days ahead for him. Kind of an uninspiring 5 for 33 and a touchdown for Garrett Wilson just because our expectations are so high. But if you really watch some couple close calls in this one, he could have had 7 catches for 70 yards in the touchdown. It feels like it's coming between these two.
He should have had a second touchdown, but with the illegal motion before the snap, and then Rodgers missed him on the throw. Like, if just little things change there, then all of a sudden he's looked at completely differently.
9 targets, I think you're completely fine. My question to you, Connor, is like, listen, everyone that has Garrett Wilson, you're like, okay, wasn't a huge game, but whatever. He got you a touchdown. He's not going to kill you this week.
Yeah.
You're happy with that performance.
Points.
It's fine.
Sure.
Absolutely great. So Alan Lazard, like the first week, we were sort of like, one was a free play, the other one was junk time. Now he gets another touchdown, and I can see people saying, like, oh, is it Alan Lazard, his BFF with Aaron Rodgers? Like, is Alan Lazard a thing? Mike Williams is working his way up, played more snaps. He's getting into there, got an end zone target. Yeah. And, of course, big game from Tyler Conklin. How do you see the complementary pass catchers of the Jets outside of Garrett Wilson moving forward?
This is what they want to do. They want to spread the ball around where it's hard to be overly reliant on anybody besides Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, because Breece obviously has huge touchdown equity as well. The Jets run a lot of empty, though. These guys are on the field. That's the thing. Mike Williams is coming off the ACL, so they've been ramping him up, but they're on the field a lot. I don't think anything's changing with Lazard. This is one thing I was off about. I thought Lazard would carry them until Mike Williams was ready to play 90% of the snaps. I think they just want everybody out there. They're going empty. He's daring people to blitz him, and then he throws to whoever's hot. And it's working. It's really worked through, especially the last 2 weeks.
I don't have the stats in front of me, but I would bet if Aaron Rodgers isn't the fastest release time in the NFL, he's got to be top 3 or 5.
I believe he is. And that the one throw in particular that will stick with me is that one over the middle to Tyler Conklin, where it was just like, that looked like 2019 Aaron Rodgers.
Just like,
that's the dragon that terrorized the Bears for all those years. Like, he looked like the same guy. So very exciting, Connor. Excited to see how it all goes wrong, as it typically does, but hopefully it doesn't. I'm with you on the Jets this year.
But I want to be clear here just before. So for fantasy takeaway, you're saying yes, Alan Lazard can continue to have some production, but
it
also
gets in the way of what Mike Williams can be. That's kind of how I look at it.
So, like, are you picking anyone up? Are you if you have one of these guys, are you dropping Mike Williams? Or
one more Conklin week like this, and he enters streaming territory in matchups, because Rodgers didn't move the first 2 weeks. Now he's moving, and that helped Conklin. Conklin was the guy flowing with him. Yep. Lazard to a degree too, which makes Lazard sometimes viable, but I still think it's a 2-man offense in terms of fantasy. And then Braelon Allen if you're desperate for flex. Because here's the thing, the Jets play a lot of bad teams. And when you play a lot of bad teams, you get your backup running back involved a lot. Like Bo Nix.
Yep.
Next week, the Vikings will be tough, but then it goes back down again. Like, it's
and
not a
home
crazy
to Buffalo
schedule.
at Pittsburgh.
Yep.
So over the next 4, 2 good offenses, 2 bad offenses. Last thing on Conklin here, which will I like Conklin. He's had production before. Rodgers is going to be the best quarterback he's ever played with by a mile, and you see the big game. But another thing is there's also it's a tight end. Sorry, my phone is blowing up.
We're on TV, Matthew.
Well, I have it on silent. Look, I don't know what's going on over here. Just more spam.
The evidence would suggest you don't. Have it on silent.
It's fair. It's fair. But more importantly, right? On the other side of the ball in this game, is the guy that had the tight end that had the big game in week 2 in Hunter Henry. He does nothing. So could you see a lot of people picking up Tyler Conklin next week and then in week 4 dropping him? But so that's my question is like how much do you, as we move over to Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper on the Patriots side of the ball here, just, is this a mirage or is there a chance Conklin becomes more of a part of this offense?
This feels like a lot. This felt like a career type of game for him. Now, could I see him going more for 4 catches, 45 yards, and he's touchdown dependent? That's the route. But here's the thing. The tight end landscape in fantasy this year is complete hell right now. We have George Kittle hurt already. It's been a slow start for Kelsey and Mark Andrews and Dalton Kincaid. So
and Trey McBride hasn't done that much
really,
either.
No one has besides Brock Bowers, which is ridiculous.
Kyle Pitts caught a touchdown on a broken coverage, but that's about it for him.
Right, Ferguson's been hurt.
Ferguson's hurt.
Dalton Schultz is nowhere to be found.
Yeah, and Njoku's been hurt. Goddard hasn't done much.
The bar is so low that if Conklin starts to become a 4-catch guy that's touchdown dependent, some leagues you might be starting that guy on some weeks. How about the Patriots offense here, guys? Tough transition. I mean, there's just not anything to say.
I mean, it reminds me of the old. Is it the? I think was it John McKay or Rich McKay from the Buccaneers? Like, how do you feel about the execution of the offense? I'm in favor of it. That's the famous post-game quote. Like, this was brutal. This was domination from start to finish. The Jets defense showed up. And the much maligned Jets run defense also came to play, Connor.
They did. And listen, the Jets were playing from ahead, so it forced New England to get out of their run script and drop back a couple times. They got sacked 7 times, Jacoby Brissett 5 times, Drake May twice. So when they were running, it felt like the Jets knew it was obvious situations, and they had no answer. Brutal fumble from Ramondre Stevenson. Chuck Clark just ripped the ball out of his hands. Here's the problem for the Patriots. When they were in conversion situations, the Jets knew Hunter Henry was the guy and no one else.
Which is a problem, because it's not like Garrett Wilson.
Wildly problematic. It just feels like the ceiling for this offense and the floor for this offense is abysmal until Drake May plays. And if you're a Patriots fan and coach, you have to be scared to put Drake May out there right now. I mean, he got clobbered the couple of snaps.
I did not understand that. It was so weird. Like, you're getting your asses kicked, and now you're going to put, like, your number 3 overall pick, your number 1 pick, your most valuable, asset that you have.
The Jets don't sit and prevent. They still blitzed.
Yeah. That one made no mistake. But just by the way, just literally this just came in. Andrew Callahan, who covers the team for the Boston Herald, covers the Patriots, says he just tweeted this. Gerard Mayo reaffirms Jacoby Brissett is the Patriots starting quarterback. Quote, Jacoby is our quarterback until he's not our quarterback. So
they're at San Francisco.
They're at San Francisco next week. Yeah, I mean, exactly. At San Francisco, home to Miami, home to Houston, at Jacksonville.
It's not great.
You don't feel great. I wonder if you don't see Drake May until after their bye.
I think that's probably the course of action for them. And their offensive line's not healthy either, so maybe they need that to align.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get further into it. I mean, you're not doing anything with Ramondre Stevenson, although I do think if you have Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson would be worthwhile to pick up as an insurance back. Bad day at the office for Hunter Henry, but he's a tight end. This is what happens. I don't think he's any different than most of the tight ends in the NFL right now.
Yep. I think every week you're starting Ramondre as an RB2 and Henry's a touchdown-dependent flex like most tight ends, and then you don't want any part of the quarterback or the receivers.
The only thing that I think is interesting, and I don't know that I'm picking him up, he's just a name we'll talk about probably deep on the list for next week, but I've always thought Demario Douglas is a talented kid. I thought last year he showed some flashes, and he had a really nice game in this one. He was the only one guy that really did anything for the Patriots. 7 for 69. They get him a rushing attempt as well for 9 yards. He had 9 targets as well. 37.5% target share against the Jets. Now again, last week Hunter Henry had a 50% target share, so it seems like Jacoby Brissett is just finding the one guy that's working and just constantly peppering him. So I don't know that I would count on consistent fantasy production from Demario Douglas, but I will say I randomly found him available in a dynasty league, one of my dynasty leagues last week, and I was just and I picked him up because I'm I think he's talented.
He had a lot of buzz when he was a rookie in their first camp, and he's on the field, he plays the slot.
I just think there's something there. Again, I'm not, but I just.
Better days ahead with Drake May.
Yeah, And I know they like Jalen Polk as well. I think better days are ahead for Jalen Polk. But
definitely.
Again, in terms of what you're doing in the near future, nothing much other than what I agree with what Jay said is you're starting Ramondre and Hunter Henry's touchdown dependent.
To put a bow on this game, Robert Saleh drinks free, by the way, because Robert Saleh survived Huggate. That was the big talk of this game. Very, very strange situation at all, where Rodgers after the game, of course, was asked about it. And
yeah, did you see? Everyone saw the video, right? Which is basically Saleh went over to hug him, and Rodgers sort of pushed him away.
Yeah, kind of gave him the we showed.
Yeah, as you see the video right here, and he pushes him away. He sort of gives him some death staggers. This is what I do whenever Jay tries to get physical with me. I just stop it, get away.
Look at those death eyes. It's unbelievable.
Buffalo was one night. Let it go. It's in the past.
Not in front of everyone.
Not in front of everyone. Stop it.
We got to hear from Rodgers after the game on the big controversy.
There was that awkward exchange with you and Robert. You appeared to push him away.
No, it was not really awkward at all.
You appeared to push him away. Then when he went to hug you, what happened?
I didn't know. He's not a big hugger, usually, so I didn't know he was going for the hug. He likes to do the two-hand chest push as well. So, but he talks a lot about two-score leads. So I just kind of gave him a push and said, 2-score lead. That's what happened.
Yeah, he didn't say it with that smile, though.
No, that's the difference.
Different smile. He had a twinkle in his eye and a smile in post-game press conference. On the field, it wasn't smiling, was no twinkle in the eye.
I'll tell you, it's a little weird, but Robert Saleh's Coach of the Year chances died in that moment because everyone knows now this is Aaron Rodgers'
Right.
team. Aaron Rodgers calls the shots. If this team succeeds, it's because of Aaron Rodgers.
It was great when the offense was rolling and they cut to Hackett on the sideline, and he was kind of like he truly was the kid that got credit for the group project.
Yeah.
He really didn't show up.
Oh, hey, that was a good call, right, Aaron?
He's not really he's barely saying anything on the headset. He's just marching down the sideline with the offense.
He's just like
this is Aaron Rodgers' show.
Right. Yeah. And they were trying to give him credit on the broadcast, too. I don't know if you heard it, things didn't go well, but it's finally, Nathaniel Hackett, bad in Denver, bad last year, but now finally getting to show what he can do. But you mean by what you can do? Just like, hey,
I got Aaron Rodgers.
What are we doing?
Get to the line of scrimmage and check out of the play I called.
It was fantastic. But it'd be pretty funny if Aaron Rodgers got more votes for Coach of the Year than Robert Saleh.
I'm in favor of that, sure.
All right, let's move to the Week 3 injuries we're tracking because this list is really, really long right now. It's getting ugly out here, guys. Nico Collins dealing with a hip. Very scary situation.
Yeah, that came out of the blue, as did George Kittle. Like all of a sudden out of the
he's not practicing right now.
Yeah, I mean, so it's looking like it's going to be, it's going to be Brandon Ayuk, Jauan, Jennings, and
Jordan Mason.
I mean, whatever. Again, the Garrison Hurst. Yeah.
Bell, it's not great.
Yeah. It's, old 49ers are able to
Better news on Justin Jefferson. He's trending towards playing. Raheem Mostert's been back at practice.
Ferguson has as well.
Yep.
Looks like good. Jordan Love, there's a chance Jordan Love plays.
Which is crazy.
People were surprised he didn't go on IR. He's listed as questionable, but the fact is there's a legit chance, some of the reporting has been 50-50 chance that Jordan Love plays this week. And even if he does, it means he's on track to play in Week 4, which if you only miss out of 2 weeks of Jordan Love, that's a home run. Joe Mixon, we still don't know yet, but I did note this. I put this out on Twitter, just like Cam Akers is still available in 89% of Yahoo leagues. And just Dameon Pierce isn't practicing, and by the way, it doesn't matter if he does. Dameon Pierce is just not a fit for this offense. So I do think that if Joe Mixon were to miss, Cam Akers is a viable RB2 against the Vikings this week.
All right, we got to hear also from Andy Reid on Isiah Pacheco, who we talked about yesterday, will be down and out for a big portion of this season, and it didn't really get much more optimistic from his head coach. Take a listen.
As far as the injuries go, really Pacheco's the only one to announce. He's been put on IR. Is having surgery today. I can't give you a time when he'll return. But there's, we'll just see if it's this season or next season.
I mean, maybe it's just coach speak, but it's not what you want to hear. This season or next season. And by the way, I was a little surprised the reaction to a broken fibula was like, it's a running back who broke his fibula.
Took Tony Pollard
that's the first person I saw.
a year to look like himself.
Right, he didn't look anything like himself when he came back. And he had an off-season.
That's one of the big, whatever, on Fantasy Football pregame, which will be on Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, all the way up until kickoff, both on Peacock and the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. We answer more questions than any other pregame show out there. Jay, you and I always, along with Lawrence and George, we do our storylines for the day, and I think I'm going to, hey, Steven, just write this down so I don't have to text you later. But my storyline this week is going to be Chiefs running back. Like how do these carries get distributed? Is it Carson Steele? Is it Samaje Perine? Does one of them, wait for it, run away with a job? And then what happens when Kareem Hunt gets up to speed as well? And so to me, that's a massive fantasy storyline. My assumption or guess at the moment is that none of them emerge, and it's just sort of this annoying running back by committee where Carson Steele scores 1 week and Perine the next week, and then whatever, and Hunt the next week, and it's just like kind of this useless running back by committee. But that I think is one of the big storylines here. And to your point, hopefully you have an IR spot and you just put Pacheco there and you just wait to see if he comes back. But like, if you don't have an IR spot, I could see if you only have like 5 bench spots, I could absolutely see cutting Pacheco. Like that's just like you're talking 2 months and maybe the year.
Yep.
And you have to weigh, right? This is the Chiefs. It's always the Super Bowl. If Pacheco comes back, they might just ramp him up for the playoffs very slowly if they're in a position where, hey,
we don't need him. It's working.
We need him for the postseason right way. That doesn't do anything for you in the fantasy playoffs. Not even close. Completely irrelevant. So we'll keep an eye on this one, but yeah, not trending the right way. You guys know what time it is?
Denny time.
Is it Denny time?
It's Denny time.
One of the things that the media doesn't want you to know is that there's no barbers anywhere near where Denny lives. That's quite the do.
He looks like Keanu Reeves in Point Break.
A little bit.
Magnificent.
I can't get an appointment anywhere, guys. Matthew, I need you to call in a favor for me.
Look at me. You think I know any barbers? I haven't had a haircut since 1953.
That was intentional, Denny. Well
Matthew
done.
Berry's Tyler Lockett over here.
Yeah, come on, stop. Go get a haircut, my friend, and
keep it growing.
Yeah, keep it growing. Anyway, yeah, I'm just jealous because I can't grow hair. Obviously, you can. Like, you just wake up in the morning and you have this luxurious full head of hair, and I'm jealous. Yeah, a lot going on.
What the mainstream media doesn't want you to know as we welcome back our friend Denny Carter to the show today on the Fantasy Football Happy Hour. Hello, Denny. Company man t-shirt today.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, I got my Roto World NBC t-shirt because at NBC, we tell you what the mainstream media has hidden from you all week.
So, Denny, why don't you kick us off right there? What do you got for us to kick things off for what the mainstream media doesn't want us to know?
Yeah, it's tragic. Look, I watched CNN yesterday for 17 straight hours.
Yeah.
I swear, you asked my wife, asked my kids. They were begging me to stop watching, but I had to see if CNN was going to mention Demarcus Robinson. And guess what, guys? They didn't. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Typical.
we have Demarcus Robinson, the de facto wide receiver 1 for the Rams, now that Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp are down with injuries, 50% rostered in Yahoo leagues. And he's a great start this week. Who else are they going to throw it to beyond Robinson and your guy, Jordan Whittington? I know you guys have talked him up, and I think he's a good play as well. But yeah, it's a tragic thing. We're talking about a Rams defense, and another thing CNN never talks about, the Rams neutral passing rate, 65%. Okay, that's top 5 in the league. We have a real pass-heavy offense here with the wide receiver 1 in the offense available in half of leagues. It should not be that way. Go pick him up. Go start.
Look, yeah, I mean, I'm with you too. I mean, I didn't watch 17 hours of CNN, but like I've scrolled a lot of the mainstream media, and none of them talk about the fact that no one has a higher snap rate through 2 weeks on the Rams than Demarcus Robinson. He's playing 92% of the snaps. He's seen an end zone target in both games. You think about last year, those 5 games where he had at least 5 targets. Over the past 2 years, when he's gotten at least 5 targets, he's averaging 14.1 fantasy points per game. He's obviously going to get at least 5 targets here because they got, him and Jordan Whittington is the only 2 people to talk to. And I just wonder if, Denny, do you think it's because everyone in the mainstream media has Demarcus Robinson on their team and they just don't want to let other people in their leagues know about it? Is there a conspiracy theory going on to keep Demarcus Robinson from the masses?
I think you're onto something, Matthew. And, I've talked to my friends deep within the media about this, and I do think that there is a cover-up in the works, and it's wrong. And people watching the show, they need to know what's going on here. The media refuses to talk about Demarcus Robinson. It's so sad, really.
Yeah.
Denny, what are the news networks hiding from us with Jonnu Smith right now, and why are they doing this?
Look, I called the Associated Press the other day, and I said, why are you not writing about Jonnu Smith? I after his week 2 usage, and let me tell you about it, because obviously you're not going to hear about it anywhere else.
Yeah.
Jonnu Smith against the Bills in week 2, almost a 100% route rate before the Dolphins benched their starters late in that blowout against the Bills. He ran from the slot on 60% of his routes. He was targeted on 26% of his routes against Buffalo. And you say, well, I didn't know all this about Jonnu Smith and his usage in week 2. Of course you didn't. Of course you did. The mainstream media, the dishonest mainstream media doesn't want you to know, right? So that's why I'm telling you right now, he is a good play in an offense that's going to be checking down constantly in week 3.
Yeah, the lamestream media forgets to mention that this week, that Seattle, who Miami plays this week, the Seahawks last week gave up 109 yards to Hunter Henry. Like they don't want you to know this. They're keeping it from you. Completely biased media as well. Listen, to your point, 19% target share in week 9 there, Denny. By the way, just tell me so you mentioned at the top of that you called the Associated Press and asked them why they aren't talking about Jonnu Smith. What was their response?
Who picks up the phone?
Right. They picked up and they
1-800-AP. If you just call 1-800 Associated
Hello,
Press.
this is us. It's the Associated Press.
Yeah,
100%.
I have their number. I'll post it online. I don't care. I'm not afraid.
No.
And they said, what are you talking about, sir? And then they hung up, which I thought was rude.
Yeah, rude. And a clear denial. Clearly they're hiding something.
Yep.
Because if they were an honest and open media, they would have engaged in conversation with Denny.
It's questionable, Denny.
It's very questionable.
Shut it down.
They shut it down. That's exactly what they don't want, that kind of pressure. They don't want that kind of heat.
No, they don't. Denny, I think you are so good that you may single-handedly propel NBC, the national broadcasting company, into the mainstream media.
I'm
if
hoping.
you keep up with your form in these segments. I want to know, Denny, why said media will not talk about Ray McCloud, who has been a much larger part of the offense than expected.
Yeah, okay, so we saw a shift in the Falcons offense last week. Of course, you're not hearing this anywhere, but 90% use of 3 receiver sets last week. I think that's what they're going to do going forward. That's what Zach Robinson, gets from his Sean McVay roots in his offensive scheme design. So that means Ray McCloud's going to be on the field a lot, okay? Maybe more than you want, but it doesn't matter. Despite him wearing a horrible running back number, 34, I believe, it's just hideous. He is seeing a lot of routes. He is tied for first on the team in receptions. And this week, I think that the Falcons are going to have to pass a lot against the Kansas City Chiefs. You could do way worse as a PPR scam than Ray McCloud.
Denny, one more for you here. And this one I know is very close to your heart and bothers me as well. Why are the networks not talking about kickers? And is there one kicker specifically that's being buried in the news?
Yeah, no, I kind of thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm going to try not to get emotional. But the mainstream media will not talk about kickers ever, okay, which is a conspiracy unto itself. Blake Grupe is someone they could easily talk about, guys, because he has 5 field goals. He's 5 for 5 through 2 weeks. He is attached to a high-scoring, high-octane Saints offense. The Saints are going to be in a potential shootout this week with the Eagles. The Eagles are giving up the 4th most field goal attempts per game. The Saints are in the red zone 4.5 times a game. It's just all lines up for a big Blake Grupe week. Of course, you turn on your local news station, you're not going to hear this, okay? But I'm delivering it to you free of charge, by the way.
Yeah, they're suppressing it. They're suppressing Blake Grupe talk. Is it clearly?
I wonder,
do you think it's it is? And I mean, you believe like I do, Denny, that this is a widespread conspiracy among all the mainstream media to keep this information from the people that know it.
Why don't my kids know who Blake Grupe is? That's what I want to know.
Why isn't it taught in schools? Why isn't this taught in schools?
No, I don't have an answer. No one will answer the question.
Yeah, 100%. Let's you and I go to the next parent-teacher association meeting and bring this up.
Grupe?
Yeah, talk about with Blake Grupe. We could get him, by the way, honestly. I think we could.
Denny, great stuff as always. And, of course, you can catch more of Denny live every Friday at noon for his weekly Q&A on the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. Denny, talk to you soon. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks,
keep
Denny.
holding the media honest, Denny. Good job.
Keep fighting the fight.
Yep, fight the power.
Dominate this NFL season with a Fantasy Life Plus subscription. Get weekly rankings, start sit advice, DFS analysis, and betting tools. Use promo code Season20 for 20% off. Go to fantasylife.com/rotoworld to learn more. We're taking our first break. When we're back, we preview some of the biggest games coming up this weekend with what's on tap.
Sunday night, Patrick Mahomes and the reigning champion Chiefs head to Atlanta as Kirk Cousins and the Falcons look to go back-to-back in primetime. Sunday, 7 Eastern on NBC and Peacock. What's on Tap is brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL, as we take a look at the matchups with the highest point totals going into the weekend. Sundays are easy to enjoy when they are full of football and the fridge is filled with beer. Here's the games, guys. We're locking in on them. We're going to start with the Lions, who were favored by 3 points against a tough Cardinals team that's playing at home. Matthew, the total in this one is 51.5 points. Should be a shootout. Does that mean better days ahead for Sam LaPorta after a very slow start to the season?
I hope so. I mean, nowhere to go but up, right? So through 2 games, he's the tight end 17 in points per game. He's had an under 10% target share on the season. And the Lions are basically 28th in red zone efficiency so far this year. They were 3rd last year. So, I mean, I think that's the biggest issue, is they've just struggled so far in the red zone. You have to figure better days are ahead. Again, Lions tied for the highest implied team total this week. LaPorta's got to be a part of this offense. I think one of the challenges here is that, you know, the emergence of Jameson Williams. It's a team that wants to be run heavy, and so they've got Gibbs fully up to speed, plus Montgomery. Of course, you always got Amon-Ra St. Brown in the mix. So there's just a lot. There's more mouths to feed for the Lions offense than there were at various points last year when Gibbs was slowly getting up to speed, then Montgomery missed some time. Williams wasn't really a thing. Having said all that, we know that Sam LaPorta is very talented, and what else are you going to do? Like, I mean, like, it's not like, you know, like, Matthew, I got LaPorta or I got Chigakonkwo. I mean, like, the odds that you have LaPorta and maybe Brock Bowers, like, there's just not any other options out there. Like, if you drafted Sam LaPorta, you drafted him early, and you hopefully, rightfully, blew off the position the rest of the draft, because you're like, that's why you draft a Sam LaPorta early, so you don't have to worry about it and play tight end roulette. So I think you're just rolling him out there again. I have tight end 5. I'm just sort of banking on him and believing in him, believing in the talent. And, you know, I don't – if he's a touchdown-dependent tight end now all of a sudden like everyone else, like, who's got a better shot at scoring a touchdown than, you know, him or the guy he's playing against Trey McBride? Like, they're, you know – just got to sort of roll it out there and hope for the best.
There's no action to take.
No.
To your point, you just have to kind of deal with
Hope
it.
for the
But
best.
I think there are lots of reasons to feel worse. The sub 10% target share is insane.
Yeah.
The fact that has happened to LaPorta. And also, like, Jared Goff just looks terrible. I don't know what's happened to Jared Goff.
Is this a get right game for Jared Goff?
I mean, maybe. Like, it should have been a get right. Like, the Bucs secondary isn't superimposing. This Rams secondary isn't great. Look, Kyler Murray had a perfect passer rating against the Rams. It's perfect. They're sending the jersey to Canton.
Yes.
And Jared Goff didn't do anything.
Get off my lawn, you kid's face. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm
Take
worried
off
about,
that jacket.
Yeah, worried about Jared Goff, worried about you, worried about this. Not worried about the Detroit offense. Detroit offense is going to be fine, but it's just like the fact that Goff's not playing well. Offensive line is a bit older, a bit worse. LaPorta's dealing with now Jameson Williams, and Amon-Ra St. Brown's still getting 1 million targets. Like, it's just not a lot there anymore.
I said this before, and like the line, it opened at 2.5. And now it's up to 3. Cardinals are getting 3 at
I like
home.
the Cards.
I like the Cards. Give me the Cards.
Yeah. Cards win.
I think there's a legit chance the Cards win this outright, but the Cards getting 3 at home after destroying a Rams team that went to the brink with the Lions?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong on this one. Maybe the Lions do get it all together and they blow them out because it's the NFL and stuff happens all the time. But I like the Cards getting 3.
I like that you're now couching your bets after what the Patriots did last
do.
night.
I have to.
Anything can happen.
I mean, anything good at football.
It's
football. What do you
Any given Sunday.
I was just like
6 inches in front of your face.
No. I mean, like, it was so brutal. And you know, my wife, God bless my wife, I love her so much. But you know, she's not a big sports bettor. So we're watching the game last night together, and she's just like, "So what do you need?" I said, "I need the Patriots by 6." You know what I mean? And she's like, "Oh," and she goes, "So wait." I said, "Whatever the Patriots score is, you have to add 6 to it." She goes, "Well, they don't have any score." I'm like, I know.
Perfect response.
I know.
10 out of 10.
I know, honey. So you add 6 to 0.
Right.
And then I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, well, how about? Didn't you say you had a teaser bet? I'm like, "Yeah, I took a teaser, you know, like plus 12." And well, but even with 12 points, they're not there. I know, honey. I know.
It's not going well.
It's not going well.
Should have taken them plus 30. That's the obvious decision.
Cover your bases.
It's awful.
Minus 20,000.
It was brutal.
Our next game, guys, Eagles traveling to play at the
Jacoby Brissett
Saints.
on the road on a short week. What could have gone
what
wrong?
could go wrong? Everything's fine. No offensive line. Eagles at Saints. Saints are favored by 3 points. They've been a powerhouse through the first 2 weeks of the season. The over-under is at 49.5, Jay.
And while their offense has exploded under Clint Kubiak, not much going for Chris Olave. Is this buy low time on Olave?
The answer is yes, but I'm keen for your thoughts on this, Connor, because against Dallas, New Orleans, here's the unique thing about them, is that they only had 3 pure drop-back plays. Everything outside of those 3 plays was a run, was play action, or a screen. So they're not just letting Derek Carr just drop back and just have the pressure come and the pass pro is a bit suspect to the offensive line. Do you think that that type of offense is good for Chris Olave or bad?
It's good if they push the ball down the field to him, but the problem is the best vertical guy on this team, one of the best vertical guys in the NFC, is Rashid Shaheed. There's no way around it, right? Like, that's what he does. So I need to see more of those downfield opportunities for Olave, and then that's good. Until he doesn't have those, it's going to limit him compared to expectations. I don't want to write off Chris Olave.
So my guy, Ian Hartitz, over at FantasyLife.com, every week does this thing called the Sheesh Report, which is basically all the touchdowns that get called back due to penalty, guys tackled the 1-yard line, near misses, wide open, all these just basically touchdowns that should have happened, but for whatever reason did not. And Chris Olave was tackled at the 1-yard line last week. If he gets into the end zone, if he falls, 6 to 8 inches further, again, measurement's not my thing, but like if he falls forward, and that's a touchdown, I think the narrative on Chris Olave is a little bit different. Again, they were blowing out the Panthers in week 1. I'm betting on talent. I'm also excited about the fact of these 2 facts. To your point, Derek Carr leads the NFL in deep ball rate. They are chucking it deep quite a bit. And 50% of Olave's targets so far have come on deep passes. Now, they need to connect on a few more of these, but as Rashid Shaheed becomes a full-time player and is getting more and more looks, other teams' defenses are going to have to respect him. And so I think that's going to open up some stuff for Olave. He's too talented. This offense is rolling too hot. I'm not panicking just yet. He's my wide receiver 10. I'm sticking with him. Give me Chris Olave.
Our last game, guys, the Ravens favored by a point, traveling to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. The over-under is at 48. I mean, Matthew, this is kind of a simple one. Can you start any Cowboys player right now besides Dak and CeeDee Lamb?
It depends on how desperate you are. I mean, you see it right there. I have Rico Dowdle at running back 34. So he's like a very low-end flex. Again, depends on who else is available in your league. If you're banged up so bad at running back, it's worth noting that Dowdle does lead the Cowboys' backfield in yards per carry and target share. Ravens do have a good run defense so far. Their number 1 rush defense in the NFL so far this season. But if you're desperate, Dowdle, and obviously if Jacob Ferguson, we'll see how the practice plays out. But if Ferguson is active for this game, I'm absolutely starting him. No, only one team in the NFL has allowed more yards to tight ends through 2 weeks than the Baltimore Ravens. Again, Bowers had a big game against them last week as well. And given the state of the position, yes, I do think you can start Ferguson if he's healthy.
Okay, so even with the injury concerns, you would still start Ferguson over like the guys potentially available on the waiver wire, like Colby Parkinson, that type of guy. You'd prefer to roll the dice with Ferguson. Yeah,
I'm a tight end 8. I do. If he's out there, he's going to be, it's a narrow target tree, right? I mean, you've got, Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert. Yes, I would, basing on his talent, Dak's talent, the fact that they're going to probably have to throw because we don't think they're going to be able to run very successfully against Baltimore. Schoonamaker, by the way, 6 catches last week with Ferguson out.
Yep.
Only ran 15 routes, but that might be a desperation play.
Okay.
I do like Parkinson though. If you're looking for a streamer, that's a good name.
Yep. Well, I have that very conundrum for Slap Them Like a Grape in the League of Arseholes, so I will be. I am with you, Matthew. I will start Jake Ferguson. Thank you for the free advice.
You're very welcome. Now, what you have to think about is, did I just purposely screw my audience to make sure you lose once again in our League of Assholes?
Well, I'm playing Damien, so it's a revenge game against Damien for you.
That's a good point.
You kind of can't lose here, and you kind of can't win.
I know, that's exactly right. I don't know who I'm rooting for there.
That'll do it for What's on Tap, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. We're taking one more break. When we're back, it's time for Last Call. We got pickup lines for Matthew. Jay and I's best bets for the weekend right after this. DraftKings Sportsbook is the #1 place to bet touchdowns, and new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the app and use promo code Barry when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. It is time for Last Call. Let's take a look at the Week 2 biggest spreads going into the weekend
Commanders.
Commanders.
Order is restored.
Yes. 7.5-point dogs on the road on national television. What could go wrong?
Look at those plucky Giants under a touchdown. They start their
Lucky
march to the
Giants.
NFC East.
As we always do on Fridays, we got Jay and I's pickup lines for Matthew. Jay, what do you got this week?
Okay.
Great call on the Saints last week.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes,
that
worked out. Hopefully this one will work out too, Matthew. Bijan Robinson.
I've heard of him.
Heard of him? Good football player. His number is set at 72.5 rushing yards on DraftKings against the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. Here's what you need to know about this one. The Chiefs are dead last in the NFL in rush defense success rate. 60% of rushes are successful against the Chiefs. The Ravens are at 19%. They're the best. The Chiefs' rush defense has been terrible so far. It's been bad, really, the entirety of the Patrick Mahomes era. Bijan Robinson, I think people are a little freaked out because he only had 14 carries to Tyler Allgeier's 9 on Monday Night Football against the Eagles. But you have to see that in conjunction with Week 1 too, when it was 18 Bijan, 3 to Allgeier. Last year, Bijan was playing 68% of snaps. This year, 82%. He has been a workhorse back. He's getting a ton of touches. Now he goes up against a very porous run defense. So I think he goes handily over 72.5.
All right.
I like it. Big week on tap for Bijan. Yeah. Matthew, I'm going to go a little down the board here. Jauan Jennings, over 42.5 receiving yards. There's not a lot of people left in this offense. We don't expect Kittle to play. Ayuk is still getting his legs under him, but it'll be a big week for Ayuk. We know Debo's out. Jordan Mason does nothing in the pass game. He's not involved. He's had one catch each game the first 2 weeks. Jauan Jennings, when everybody looked pretty good in week 1, 5 for 64. He's gone 2 for 37. Jauan Jennings is somebody that should clear this number. I think he's talented enough, but he's filling in for a higher volume. 42.5 is, to me, surprisingly low.
That is surprisingly low to me as well. I like both these bets. I will place both these bets, but sorry, Jay. I'm going home with Connor once again.
Like Connor's more than mine. So,
I think it's because Kittle's status is still up in the air.
Yeah.
It feels like if we got clarity on it, and he hasn't practiced, so I don't think he's going to play. This would go maybe to the 50, 51.
Yeah, high 40s at least.
Yeah. But that's too low a number for a guy that Brock Purdy liked. Honestly, if the Niners win the Super Bowl, Jauan Jennings likely would have been your MVP. Or it probably would have been Brock Purdy, but it should have been Jauan Jennings. Like, he was great in the Super Bowl. Like, when he's gotten an opportunity, he's been good. Hey, it's closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So for Jay Croucher, Connor Rogers, and Denny Carter, I'm Matthew Berry. We'll see you on Sunday for FF pregame. Until then, good luck and peace out. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotorWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.